So I made a new weapon kits video all the way back in October, and since then we've had quite a few new main weapons and 2 new special weapons, so I think it's about time I show off what new weapon kits I would like to see in Splatoon 3 once again. Just a few things before getting started. I am excluding Ten Missiles because it's the only bad design special in the game. No one likes using it or playing against it, and it should be retconned. So yeah, sorry not sorry, Jaden. This is also assuming that every sub and special ranges from very good to decent in terms of balance, so nothing is going to be broken or bad. The goal of these kits is just for them to be good, synergistic, fun, and not too overpowered. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into the kits. So starting off with the Splatoon 7, Splat Bomb is the best sub it has had thus far, so I think it makes sense to bring it back. And it had Inkzuka in Splatoon 1, which I think worked really well for it, so I gave it Trizuka. I think this would be a really good kit for the weapon and would be a lot of fun. Next is the Kensa Splattershot Jr. with Autobomb and Inkstorm. This is the custom kit from Splatoon 2, and I think it worked decently for it, and I think it makes sense to bring it back. So yeah, not much else to say other than that. Please, for the love of God, Nintendo, give Zipcaster back to Splash-O-Matic. It's what it had in the second trailer, and I have no idea why you took it away. It looked so much fun. So yeah, please, this is the best shooter to have Zipcaster and would just be addicting to play. And for the sub, I think realistically it's going to get Toxic Mist again, and I think it would be okay for it. I definitely think this is one of the better weapons to have Toxic Mist. You would just trap someone in the mist and kill it with your perfect accuracy. I personally would like something more fun, like, I don't know, Fizzy Bomb or Torpedo, but I would be okay with it getting missed. And realistically, I think that's what it's going to get again. I don't care what the sub is, please, Nintendo, just give it Zipcaster. Actually, don't give it like Splash Wall or something. Yeah. For the Aerospray PG, I gave it back Burst Bomb. Burst Bomb is definitely the best sub Aerospray can get because of its weak damage, so Burst Bomb really helps with that. And I also think Super Chump would help as well with its chip damage, especially now that it does 35 and not 25. And you know, it would help it and its team get in. So yeah, I think the synergy is there. I think this would be a decent kit. So you guys were probably expecting me to put Inkjet on the Wasabi Splattershot, but there's actually another weapon that I want to have Inkjet more than this. And yeah, we'll get to that later. So I basically just decided to give this the Splatoon 2 vanilla kit, which was Burst Bomb and Splashdown. Burst Bomb works really well with this weapon, and I do think Shot would pair really well with a good Reef Slider. So if there's no end lag, you could combo off the chip damage done by the explosion, and yeah, just go from point A to point B really quickly. So yeah, this looks like a really fun kit. So 52 has had point sensor before, and I think it worked okay for it. I'm not too keen on giving this weapon a really good special just because I think the main weapon is already crazy enough with its quick 2-shot kill. So yeah, point sensor I think would work fine. And I decided to go with a more aggressive special. It had Baller in Splatoon 2. And that's kind of Crab Tank in this game, but since Splash exists and it's already one of the best weapons in the game, that just seemed a little redundant to me, so I just went with Ultra Stamp. I decided to give the next Zap kit something more aggressive. It had point sensor before, but decided to turn that into Angle Shooter. I do think this sub is very fun, and if it were good, I think it would pair well with the weapon. And the 83 kit in Splatoon 1 had Kraken, so I think it only makes sense to give it Kraken Royale. Yeah, I would love for 83 to have this kit in Splatoon 3. I definitely think the next Splattershot Pro kit should get Splat Bomb. It's the best sub it's ever had. A lot of people say it should get Burst Bomb because of how weak the main weapon is, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen, and even then I don't really know how to feel about it. So yeah, I just went with Splat Bomb, and I definitely think that Wavebreaker would pair very well with this weapon, with the chip damage and the location. Yeah, I actually think this kit would be very strong. So 96 Cal has always had either Sprinkler or Wall, and I think it's about time it gets a bomb. So I decided Torpedo would be the best one for it. You know, you would throw the torpedo at someone, and either the opponent has to shoot the torpedo down and get shot by you, or shoot you and get chipped by the torpedo. So yeah, I think the synergy is there between the two, and I just decided to go with Big Bubbler because I do think 96 does struggle a lot without protection, so Big Bubbler would definitely help with that. I do think Burst Bomb should definitely return on Jet Squelcher. It was very fun and helped with the slow kill time, and it also had Kraken in Splatoon 1, which was really fun, so I definitely think it should come back on this weapon. I think Burst Bomb should also go on Splattershot Nova because, again, slow kill time. And Inkstorm would also really help with that, with its chip damage and a fairly large radius, so yeah, I think this is pretty much the perfect Nova kit. So L3 has had Disruptor before, which is basically Toxic Mist in this game, and I think it would work okay for L3, but if not, maybe something like Torpedo or something, I don't know. And for the special I went with Killer Whale. I do think this weapon would play really well off of the chip damage done by Killer Whale, and it just looked like, and it would just be a lot of fun. For Sherry H3 Nozzle Nose, I just decided to give it back Suction Bomb, just so it has a bomb. I just decided to give it back Suction Bomb, and I decided to actually go with Super Jump. May not look like the best special, but I do think it would play pretty well off of it, with the meat shielding and the chip damage and letting your team get in. I do think this would be a decent kit. I kind of had trouble deciding on another special for this weapon without having it clash with other specials that weapons have, so I ultimately just decided with this. I decided on a more supportive kit for Foil Squeezer. It's had Splat Bomb before, and Splat Bomb is always good, so I just gave it back. And for the special, I just decided to go with Ink Vac for protecting teammates in front of you. I do think this would be a really good support kit for the weapon. Next up are the blasters. So for Luna Blaster, I decided to just go with Torpedo to help it poke with its limited range. And it's had Bomb Rush before, which is basically triple Ink Strike, and that's what I decided to go with, just to help it lay down a little bit more pain. So Blaster had a Disruptor and Toxic Mist in Splatoon 1 and 2 respectively, and I think it worked pretty good for it. You know, you would trap someone in the mist and blast them away. And the custom kit had Inkjet, which worked in Splatoon 2, which worked really well for it, so I'm giving it back, and I think this would be really fun. I think custom range blaster is pretty obvious. Splat Bomb Kraken was really good and really fun in Splatoon 1, so I definitely think it should come back. I don't think I really need to elaborate more on this, to be honest. I didn't want to give Clash anything too strong because, I mean, I am a bit biased. It is one of my least favorites weapons to fight, so, but I do think this kit would be pretty helpful for it. Fizzy Bomb to help it lay down a little paint trail that it can swim through, and Reef Slider so it can force its way in, and could also play off the chip damage done by the explosion. So yeah, I think this is a pretty decent kit without having it be too annoying. For the Rapid Blaster, I just gave it back Suction Bomb, and I decided to go with Crab Tank. The Kenta kit had Baller in Splatoon 2, so I think this is pretty similar to it. And yeah, I think this would be a very strong kit. For Rapid Pro, which is basically the back line of blasters, I just went with Beacon to help it give jumps, and Tacticooler to support the team and give them all the nice perks that Cooler has. So yeah, I think this is a pretty decent kit. And for the new S-Blast kit, I simply just decided on Autobomb. And I know Zipcaster is already on Luna, but I think these blasters are different enough to where it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think Zipcaster would be really fun on this weapon, especially with the two different range modes. You know, you jump, you fire a short range blast, and you don't jump and you shoot a long range blast. And with certain inputs, you can even jump and fire a long range blast too. So yeah, I think this would be a very fun kit for the weapon, and I would love to see it. Next up are the rollers. So for Carbon Roller, I went with Fizzy Bomb for again laying down a little paint trail to help it get through with its short range. And I decided on another aggressive special, and I think Ultra Stamp would be really good on this weapon. So yeah, this kit looks like a lot of fun. Crow Splat Roller. The Kenta kit had Splat Bomb, so I decided to give it back here. I think this would work great for Roller, and I decided on Inkjet for the special to help it take out longer distance threats. I think this is a really good synergistic aggressive kit for Roller. Next up is the Gold Dynamo Roller, which is somehow not in the game yet, even though it was shown all the way back in the announcement trailer. So yeah, I went with Splat Bomb and Booyah Bomb. I think this would be really strong and would really help with the weapon, especially since the main weapon is kind of weak right now. I know a lot of other Dynamo fans would love this kit, so that's what I think it should get. So Fling says has had Suction Bomb before, and I think it was decent on it, and I decided on Vacuum for the special. The vanilla Big Swig Roller does also have Ink Vacuum, but I think it would work better on Flingza, so I decided to just give it that. So yeah, this is just what I went with, and I think it would work good. And for the third Big Swig Roller kit, which I call it the Big Swig Roller Redux, I decided on Torpedo to help it lay down chip damage on opponents because the damage to opponents is pretty weak on this weapon. And I think this would be a good weapon to have Crab Tank, so that's what I went with as well. And I made it 2-pen just so it doesn't spam it too much. So the permanent ink brush has had Sprinkler before, and I think it would work okay for it to help it build special and use it as a little meat shield. And I think Reef Slider would also be really good for this weapon. This is a weapon that likes to get up behind and be annoying a lot, and I think Reef Slider would really enable that even more. You go from point A to point B, do the explosion, combo off the chip damage, and yeah, I just think this is a really synergistic kit for Perma Brush. Dr. Brush has had Auto Bomb before, so I think it makes sense to bring it back. And the brush has also had Kraken before in Splatoon 1, so I just went with Kraken Royale. I just think this would be a really fun aggressive kit for the weapon. Paintbrush is another weapon that I really don't like fighting, so I didn't want to give anything too good, so I just went with Beacon and Triple Ink Strike, which I think would be pretty decent. Beacon to help it give jumps to its teammates, as well as get itself in, and Triple Ink Strike to lay down paint. Onto the chargers, so for new Swiffer, it had Auto Bomb before, so I think it should come back. And this is definitely the best charger to have Zip Casters, since jumping doesn't slow down the charge time. It would leave you vulnerable, but I think in the hands of good players it would be quite strong, and I just think it would be a really fun kit for the weapon. So Kelp Splat Charger had in Splatoon 1 had Sprinkler and Killer Whale, so I just decided on Sprinkler and Killer Whale 5.1 for this weapon. Don't have much to say, I just think it would be pretty good. Beacon has always been good on E-Leader, so I gave it back, and it had Ink Swarm in Splatoon 2. Which was really good for it. So once again, giving it back. This looks like a really strong kit, and I would love to see it. So now that MPU damage up is gone, I think Burst Bomb is okay to come back on Bamboo. And for the special, I actually think Super Chump would be really good for this weapon, with the chip damage, laying down paint, helping its team get in. I think this is a very synergistic kit, and I think Bamboo fans would love it. Custom Goo Tuber, I just decided on Curling Bomb Inkjet, as it had both the sub and special before, just on different kits. And yeah, I think this would be really fun. I think Curling Bomb would help it out, especially with its charge hold gimmick, and Inkjet for aggressive play. I think this would be really fun. For the next Sniper Rider kit, I decided on Fizzy Bomb to help it lay down more paint, and I think it would combo decently off the chip damage. I think this would be another good weapon to have Crab Tank. I initially did want to give Crab Tank to some more aggressive weapons, but at the same time, Crab Tank is such a valuable special that it's really punishing if you die with it. So yeah, I gave the special to more midline and backline weapons. So yeah, and I think Sniper Rider would be a good weapon to have it. Slosher is another weapon I think would be good with Crab Tank, and a lot of people really liked Burst Bomb on it in Splatoon 1, though I think that would be really annoying. So I gave it a close second with Torpedo. I was gonna give the Soda, Slosher, Fizzy Bomb, and Tacticooler because I think it would be funny, and I think it would be a decent kit too, but it was taken by Tri Nouveau, so yeah, missed opportunity, Nintendo. But yeah, in all seriousness, I think Torpedo and Crab Tank would be really good for Slosher. For OG Tri Slosher, well, first of all, they should color it green and make it circular again. So yeah, I think that'd be a cool little throwback. Anyway, I'm surprised Burst Bomb didn't come back on it. Maybe this time on the third kit. Though they could have also gotten rid of Burst Bomb on Tri-Slosher for a reason, as it was always really strong. But I still think it should come back. And it had Bubbler and Ink Armor in Splatoon 1 and 2. So big Bubbler just makes sense. For Sloshing Machine Neo, I just decided to give it back Auto Bomb. And I think Wave Breaker will be very strong on it. The weapon definitely makes use of the location and chip damage very well. And yeah, because of that, I think this would be a very strong kit. So for Blobber Deco, I decided on Ink Mine, which would be a nice defensive sub for the weapon. And this weapon has always been kind of dubbed as an AFK weapon because it just sits back and spams its bubble shots. So to fix that, I decided on Ink Vacuum to incentivize it to go forward and help its team get in by protecting them from behind. I think this would be a very nice support kit for the weapon. And yeah, I think Blob fans would like it. For the Custom Explosion, I decided on Beacon to help it give jumps. And I also decided on a more aggressive special, and I think Kraken would be the perfect pick for that. I think it would be a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm sure Explosion fans would really enjoy this kit. For the refurbished Mini Splatling, the Zinc variant in Splatoon 2 had Curling Bomb, and I think it worked alright for it by helping it get around a bit more. And I think Vacuum would be a really good support special for this weapon. I just think this kit would be very fun. For the Heavy Splatling Remix, I think it should get Wall again, especially to help it deal with chargers, because Splatlings have always had a tough time dealing with chargers, so Wall helps with that. And I decided on Killer Whale. I think Heavy in particular would, and yeah, I think this kit would work really well for Heavy. For Custom Hydro Splatling, I think it should get Mine again, and I decided on Bubbler, especially since Hydra in particular does struggle against chargers a lot. So Bubbler is a really good protection special for that, and yeah, I think this is a good kit. Ballpoint Splatling Nouveau should definitely get Beacon again, and I think Tacticooler would pair really well for it, especially with the run speed and swim speed buffs. Run speed as an ability already stacks really well on Ballpoint, and yeah, Tacticooler would enhance that even further. So yeah, I think Ballpoint players would really love this kit. For Nautilus, I decided to give it back Suction Bomb, and for the special, I decided on Trizuka to help it deal with opponents at a longer distance. Don't have much to say, I just think this kit would be really good for it. This is the same kit as on the Vanilla Spider Shop, but I think these weapons are different enough to where one wouldn't outclass the other. And you know, people have people have their preferences. Some people like Splattershot and not Nautilus, and vice versa. For cleared apple dualies, I went with Curling Bomb to help it get around, which is something this weapon especially struggles to do with its limited range and how the maps are designed. So yeah, and this is another weapon I think Trizuko would work really well with, especially with its limited range. So yeah, I would love to see this kit. Now this is the weapon that I would like to have Inkjet on more than Splattershot. This is what the N-Parry kit had in Splatoon 2, and it was very fun. It did have curling too, but the vanilla kit also had Burst Bomb, and I think that would be even better for this weapon. The vanilla kit also had 10 missiles, and yeah, Nintendo, don't you dare even think about putting missiles back on this weapon. Swear to God. People will come after you. Anyway, for Gluga Dualies Deco, Kensa kit had Fizzy Bomb in Splatoon 2, so yeah, that would work really well for it, especially since the weapon doesn't paint well at all, and it would just be good for helping it get around. And I think Bubbler would work well on this weapon, especially since it doesn't move around a whole lot, and I do think it benefits from protection really well, so yeah, I think Big Bubbler would be a really good special. For the Kensa Dualie Squelchers, this weapon is pretty notorious for being ink hungry, so I think having a cheap special would really help it out, so I decided to go with Angle Shooter for the location and chip damage if you land a direct. And I just decided on Triple Ink Strike for the special, just for simply laying paint down and getting in. For the third Tetra Dualies kit, which I call the Shiny Tetra Dualies, I think Torpedo would be really fun on this weapon. You would throw the sub at an opponent and just dodge around and just be annoying. So yeah, and I just decided on Booyah Bomb. I know the Glugas have Booyah Bomb already, but once again, I think both these weapons are different enough where I don't think it would matter that much. So yeah, I think Booyah Bomb would work really well on Tetras, and yeah, I think this would be a really good kit. Auto Bomb was on Sorella Brella in Splatoon 2, so I think it makes sense for it to come back, and I think Tacticooler would work really well on Brella, especially with the run speed buff, and you know, Brella's always been a more supportive, aggressive weapon, so yeah, I think the kit synergizes really well with it, and I definitely think Nintendo should add it. For the Camo Tent Umbrella, I think Point Sensor would be pretty good on it. I think location is nice on umbrellas, especially with fall off and stuff. So yeah, and a lot of people liked Ultra Stamp on the Camo Tent in Splatoon 2. So yeah, I definitely think it should come back. So when Inkstorm was shown off in the Splatoon 3 Direct, it was thrown by an undercover player. So I think this is what Sorella Undercover is gonna have. And Torpedo was really good on the Kensa kit in Splatoon 2. So I definitely think it should come back. An honorable mention is Burst Bomb, because this weapon has always had very weak damage. So yeah, but either or, it would be really good for the weapon. For the Zekofin Tri-Stringer, I think Splash Wall would work really well for it to keep it protected. And honestly, Wave Breaker would be amazing. The weapon's area of effect would be really good with the location, and it's a very chip damagey weapon, so the damage from Wave Breaker would help really well with that. And so yeah, I think this kit has amazing synergy with Stringer. For Reflux, I decided on a more aggressive kit that would really help it out. So Torpedo for poking, tracking, and chip damage, and Trizuka for taking out long distance threats. Pretty simple aggressive kit that I think would be really good for Reflux. For the Kensa Wiper, Fizzy Bomb would be really good for swimming through the trail and chip damage. And I decided to give it another aggressive special, and I think Inkjet would be the perfect pick for that. I know going into Sizzle season, a lot of people really wanted Inkjet on this weapon, so yeah, I know Wiper players would love this. And finally, the Splatana Stamper Deco. I think Point Sensor would be alright on this weapon. I do think this weapon plays well off location, and I decided to give it a more passive special with Booyah Bomb. So yeah, that is going to do it for all the new kits that I personally would like to see in Splatoon 3. Feel free to agree or disagree, and yeah, let me know what kits you would like to see your favorite weapon get. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to smack the like button, and if you're considering unsubscribing to the channel, be sure to hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video, and if you want to support me even more, be sure to check the links in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.